Hello, gentlemen. You are welcome to this special broadcast this morning from the hills of the southern Cameroons. I have two things to talk about. The first thing I want to address is an open invitation to the United Nations and international organizations. This part of it I will say in English, and then immediately after this I would like to address the people of the southern Cameroons in our lingua franca, that will be in Pidgin English. United Nations should get ready for what is going to be the largest refugee crisis in West Africa in this century. It's going to be one of the largest. So I want to appeal directly to the United Nations, because enough with lip service and standing at aloof and watching the making of a humanitarian crisis and then doing nothing about it. You saw one in Rwanda. If that is what you want to see before you react, that might be too late for the problem that is going on now in the southern Cameroons. So I will beg that this video be circulated so that those who are the officials of the United Nations, those who are in charge of making such decisions to carry on evaluation missions on crisis fields, on potential crisis fields, should be able to get this information and make use of it and make necessary decisions before it is too late. What is going on in the Cameroons now is a neglected crisis. We have tried. The people have gone all over the place. They have marched in front of embassies in the United Nations several times. People have cried. They have made their voices heard. The Russian television Al Jazeera, they have taken this matter up, and some African news media outlets. The social media is all over the place with this folding humanitarian crisis. That's this unfolding humanitarian crisis that somehow the Western media in the United States, in Britain, and in France have not given the attention such a crisis deserves. They have not paid much attention. So I have to call on the international organizations. We have to call on international organizations directly by a video like this. Don't listen to the government of La République. Recently, their Minister of Misinformation, Mr. Chiroma Bakari, has been going all over the place on social media, trying to deny the truth and tell the lies he is paid to tell, that there is no crisis in Cameroon, that we are just what is going on, they're just trying to handle some people, some extremists, a handful of extremists who have already been compared to terrorists, and those are what they are handling, and that they are ready for dialogue, because these are extremists, they are not ready for dialogue, that the government of La République de Cameroon is ready for dialogue. If it is federalism or secession, let the people just come to the table, peddling such lies. Meanwhile, one of the most brutal repression, killing, maiming, raping, extortion, beating is going on People are dying in hospitals. People are dying because they cannot access health care. Because you cannot imagine that the whole of the southern Cameroons, a population of 8 million people, are not, they have been cut, internet has been cut off from there. You can imagine that hospital and medical services cannot operate without internet. The economy of these people cannot operate without the internet. So you can imagine how many people are dying because of health crisis, owing to what? And then the military has a free hand under the darkness of no eyes watching, no internet, breaking into houses, beating people up, maiming people, killing people, abducting and kidnapping them to unknown destinations. There are no records. What is going on now is a humanitarian crisis of an abnormal proportion going on right now, and it is being neglected. The government is lying when they say they are ready for dialogue, because here is the thing. The dialogue they say they want is a lie, because here is what the minister is saying. He said we should come to the table. But let me tell you, we came to the table. There was an attempt, a public show of their readiness for dialogue. But what they actually wanted to do was to positively identify the protagonists of these strike actions and those who were leading this this movement, so that they could arrest them, they could torture them, they could kill them and kill them. And that is what has happened, because on the 15th they were talking, they were meeting in Bamenda on the 15th of January. The leaders of these strike actions that are going on in southern Cameroon, Barrister Bala, the chairman of the consortium of civil society organizations, and the secretary, who is an educationist, Dr. Fontaine. They were talking with the member of government, with the commission that the government had set up to so-called negotiate. They were negotiating, but they couldn't arrive at an agreement, and so they refused to call off the strike. 3 days after that, they were arrested. And they were arrested under laws of terrorism that were passed in 2014 because of the fight against Boko Haram. So when did these people become terrorists? When did they become terrorists? Is it 3 days after they did not call off the strike? We were just coming off the table, the so-called table of negotiation. So this was just a stage, this was a lie, this was a pretext to invite the leaders of these strike actions to the table so that they could identify them, pick them all up, crush them, kill them, and maim them. And that's what has happened. So how can they say they want dialogue? So if the minister is saying that the Republic wants dialogue, who do they want to dialogue with? Or is dialogue going on right now in Kondengi prison, the central prison where our leaders are? Are they dialoguing with them now in prison? They have appeared in court twice, and the case is being adjourned for no good reason. So they are not ready for dialogue. How can you be ready for dialogue? Those that are supposed to be dialoguing with you, you have kept them behind bars. So you say you are ready for dialogue, you want to dialogue with who? This is a lie. And while this kangaroo trial is going on, the army has a free hand in the darkness of no internet, under the darkness of internet and public communication cut off. He is going from door to door, beating people, maiming people. Right now, as we speak, people are running. They are in the forests. so running to safety. Some are trying to enter Nigeria. Right now, if a fact-finding mission should be set up by the United Nations, you are going to discover that there are refugees already along the borders, along the borders between Cameroon and Nigeria, from the northwest region of Cameroon. People are already running. People are already entering Nigeria. And this is going to continue because the government has no desire, no will to solve this problem. And because they are not solving the problem, they are using force on the people who have decided that we came into this union voluntarily through a political action. We were not defeated in a war. And if that gentleman's agreement is not beneficial, it's not working, then they are trying to express their minds that it is time for them to walk out from this union and be separate. After all, this part of Cameroon, the British Southern Cameroon, had independence like any other country had independence. On the 14th of April, 1961, they voted. There was a resolution for the independence, for the end of the trusteeship of the British over this territory, and that was our independence. Many countries voted yes. Just incidentally, France and La République voted against that resolution, but that resolution was passed successfully. We are an independent nation like any other nation that was given independence. And if we decided to join, and this is what we have, this is what we are suffering today. We are being killed, and the international community is silent. But we will get to a point where the people who don't want to run and die running in the forest will rise to defend themselves. And that will be a humanitarian crisis such as we have not seen in West Africa in the past decade. So the government is not ready for dialogue, and I want this one to be heard and to be known by all. The government of La République is not ready for dialogue because more than 3,000 soldiers, additional to the police and the gendarmes, are now occupying this territory, breaking freely into houses, beating whosoever, seizing even phones, cutting phone lines, arresting people at random. They give account to nobody. Even the local law enforcement agencies, like the courts and so on, they don't have any records of the people that have been arrested, killed, maimed, disappeared, just abducted to unknown destination. That is what is happening. The families are weeping. People are being radicalized right now as I speak. This is an evil that is boiling up. The international community, United States of America, the United Nations, it is time for you not to look away, not to look away. Send a fact-finding mission to the field. Don't believe what your ambassador says will tell you just from their armchair in Yaoundé. They are not living the reality in the southern Cameroons. Send fact-finding missions to these areas and see for yourself the sorrow, the torment, the evil, the abductions, the killings, and the maiming that is taking place right now. The government says that Mr. Chiroma, the Minister of Lies in charge of misinformation in La République du Cameroon, he says that they want dialogue. They want to talk about federalism. They want to talk about, then he says that let us come to the table, and they are ready, whatever is our demand, which is allowed by the Constitution, they are ready to talk. But he knows that so-called Constitution that he is referring to does not allow for any talks, any negotiation that will compromise the form of the state, which is a unitary state that they unlawfully changed. Paul Biya, the government of Paul Biya, unlawfully changed in 1984. So that constitution does not allow for any discussion of federalism. So how can he dishonestly say that if it's federalism or secession, we should come to the table, when he says that the only thing that can be discussed is what the Constitution allows? So let him tell you when next he's talking to you on the media. Let him tell you that what does that mean? Anything that is allowed by the Constitution. So can we talk about federalism? Can we talk about our separation? So these are the taboo issues. When he says there are no taboos, let's come to the round table, it's a lie. This man is a minister of lies, in charge of misinformation. When he says that he is lying, what he is saying is he wants people to come to the table so that, again, they can identify those who are left, the remnants, who are keeping the fight going. After they have arrested our true leaders, they want to now identify more of the roles that are remaining so that they can be arrested and maimed, killed, and thrown into jail, charge them under terrorism laws. There is no genuineness to have any discussions with us when our leaders who will negotiate with the government in the first place are jailed and are being tried under terrorism laws. These are liars. I invite the international community to go to the field and find out for yourself. Issa Chiroma is a liar, is a serial liar, is a pathological liar. He and his regime. He is paid to lie. He is paid to lie. Don't believe these people. They don't want dialogue. If they want dialogue, they cannot take those they are negotiating with and throw them in jail, and they say they want dialogue. Thank you.